Okay, hello. I'm gonna be trying to explain the Mario Lab for the extra credit. So let's take a look at what the program should do. It should prompt you with a height. Let's give it 7, and then build a tower that's 7 blocks high. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And it has this sort of shape. Now it's important to note that in between each of these is a space, and because the space and every other character is the same length, then this program is a bit more simple than you might think it is. So to get started on this program, let's put in all of our modules. We grab those, bleep, and we put her in our main function. And now we need something to prompt the user for a height, and we need something that draws the triangle structure thing. And we should declare all of our variables before anything. So variables, all we need is height, right? So, and that's gonna be integer. Integer height equals, set to 0 or something. We don't even need to, let's just do integer height. And then we could do height equals get integer height. And this will put height, give us height, and that should be it. Let's just run this real quick to make sure. Height 10, okay, works. Now we need to kind of draw the structure thing. And so let's break this up into smaller pieces. Before we get each side, let's just work on one side, and let's think about what's happening here. So whenever we're given a height, we know that there's going to be 7 characters in each row, because at the bottom there needs to be 7. And to keep it constant, we need to do a decreasing amount of blocks and an increasing amount of spaces, right? So we know that we need to print 7 characters, but it's just every time we go up a row or a column, whatever it is, you need to add 1 more space and decrease the amount of blocks by 1. 0 blocks 7, or 0 space 7 hashtags, 1 space 6 hashtags, etc. So let's work on just making some code to do that one side first. Let's forget about this other right side. And so for this, we probably need a for loop, because we're going to be printing out a bunch of stuff and we don't know exactly how long it is. So it's pretty logical if we have a for loop. And so that's just going to be integer. I forget how to do for loop. Wait. yeah, I'm doing it right. For integer, I equals 0. I is greater than the height I plus plus. Okay, what are we doing here? We're setting a temporary value I to 0, and it should go for the amount of height it is. So if I put in 6, then this is gonna go through the program 6 times. And that means that this is for each of the rows. So I need to print each of the things in this for one loop of the for loop. And so we can do something like we want to print I amount of spaces and height minus I amount of blocks. So let's just write that code. There's many ways of doing that. I think I'll just use a for loop for now. Do I need to? Yeah, let's just do this. For int, and let's make this something different. We could do like blocks, actually. That makes more sense. Increasing by height minus I blocks plus plus. space this properly. And for this, we just need to print the blocks, which is that. And we aren't going to have a new line because we're going to stack them into one line. And then we need to do the exact same thing pretty much, except for the spaces. So let's make that inch spaces. And it's going to be I this time. Oh, and I forgot to change this. This should be blocks. And this should be spaces. And this should be spaces. Let's print a space. But right now I see a problem because we're going to be printing the hashtags first. And in the program, we actually print the spaces first. So we need to put all this code to the front so it runs that first. And so after it's done printing the necessary structure, now all we need to do is just print a new line. So let's run this and see what happens. Mario. Heights. Let's do 5. Okay, so it kind of does something backwards. So how do we fix this? Well, we can just make it so that I is reversed. So it's starting at 0, right? So we can just start at the top, which is height. Let's do greater than or equal to 0. Now let's see what happens, Mario, height. Oops, 5. Nothing happens. Oops. I should have fixed it actually. I'm not sure. Oh, minus should be minus, not plus. Now let's try it. We're still not doing it. Oh, because I didn't make it. Okay, so let's run this again. And oh, we get the proper thing, but we have this kind of space in front of it. So let's do height -1. That's just removing the top row. If we run it, there we go. We got something that looks like the first side of what we're supposed to make. Now we just need to make the other side, and we need to like make some, restrictions on what we can type in for the height. But that should be pretty easy compared to the other one. So how do we make the other side now? Well, we need to build something on the same line, right? So we need to add more to the for loop before we print a new line. And what are we doing? We're actually just adding 2 spaces. So we can just do that by like printf 2 spaces. And then we need to work on the other side, which is just this side but reversed. And because it's reversed and the blocks come first, we don't even need to put the spaces because we won't see them. So we just copy this code, I think, put it in here, and we should be golden. Let's just make that and see what happens. And there we go, we did it. So, seems good. And now the only thing we need to work on is if I put 15 in, I don't think we're allowed to do something that big. So we need to pull up the documentation. So let's go into that real quick and see what's happening. Actually, I think I might have it in docs. Okay, so it looks like we need to reject 0 and 9. So it needs to be 1 through 8. So we can do this while, and then height is not, or we just do height is less than or equal to 0, or height is greater than equal to 9, I think. Yep. Add a semicolon there, and let's see if we did this right. Nine, 0, 1. Looks like we did it right. Let's go. Let's check 50 this. Make sure we did it correctly. CS50 problems 2019 AP Mario more. And I mean, it seems like it should work. The main thing to take away from here, I think, is that you can use nested for loops for really cool things, like making something like a big structure like that pretty easily. So knowing how to do that and knowing when to do that is really useful. Hopefully you didn't need to follow this tutorial step by step, but should have helped either way. Sorry for not uploading this till like the last minute, but I don't know. I did it pretty quickly, and I don't think I set up this YouTube channel before I did this, so I couldn't really, I was focused on other stuff, but hopefully anyone who wants to do it last minute, maybe this will help. I don't know. But it looks like check 50 returns all right, and I hope this helps. Be sure not to just copy all of this code, but actually understand it for yourself. So I could explain this one more time, but I don't want you to just write this code line by line, but instead try to figure out the general steps to make this program and implement it in your own way instead of following my way, which isn't, the only right way. It's one way of doing it, but there's many other possible ways that are just as good, equally good. So one last time going through this, we set up the integer height. We make sure that the user inputs a height between 1 and 8. And we print the pyramid thing by using nested for loops. And we have, we labeled our for loops with things like spaces to make it easier to comprehend. And yeah, we got to learn also that each of the characters in this font are equally spaced, which is very useful when we're making something like this. Okay, I hope you found this helpful, and yeah, I'll see you guys later.